Today I'm having a look at how I put together a card using the Peaceful Peonies collection of papers. Now the small papers in this collection are 6.5 inches square and they are so beautiful. I couldn't bear to cut this one to trim it down to the card size I normally make. So I'm making a 7 by 7 inch card here, and I've just matted and layered it with some plain silver cardstock onto some plain pink cardstock and then onto the card base. So the card base is 7 by 7 and just that mat and layer just frames the beautiful paper. So I've got a topper for my card that's going to go in here. Okay, and then in this collection there are some beautiful, really beautiful cut foil and embossed dies. So you can foil them, and I've used a peach satin foil on this, and that'll kind of go there. Let me try and turn that round. Yep, that's the right way round. And then there's also a leaf. So this is the cut foil and embossed die for that. So as you can see, they have a cutting edge around the outside, and then all these raised areas. Try and get that to focus. That's better. And then they have all these raised areas, and they apply foil or emboss into the card, so you actually end up with a foiled and textured result. Okay, but you don't have to foil them. Okay, so you can ink them instead. Or actually this morning I've been experimenting with just die cutting them with some stamping stroke watercolour card, and then using coloured watercolour pencils. My pencils aren't very good ones. I'm sure you could get better results, but that's another alternative. Or you can ink the die and just pass it through your die cutting machine. So let me show you that first. So I've got here, so this is the leaf foiled, and I'm going to actually use some ink instead. So I've got my cutting plate for my die cutting machine, and then I've got a piece of copy paper, and that's just to keep the cutting plate clean. And then I'm just going to ink this up. It doesn't even have to be the same ink all over, so I'm going to do some light ink around the outside and then a darker one in the middle. Doesn't have to be realistic colours, of course. And I always find with these that it doesn't look like you put much ink on. And then you die cut it and actually you have got lots of ink. So just don't go mad with the ink. So I'm just going to slide that onto my cutting plate there, and then I've got a piece of card to put over the top. And actually I'm going to bring this down because I've got a magnetic platform here, and that will stop my die moving. Yeah, so that over the top of there. Okay, and then one of the things I find that if I want a really deep emboss, if I put a piece of scrap card over the top, let me just make that a bit smaller. Piece of scrap card over the top, I get a nice deep emboss. And then my top cutting plate on top, and then that's going to go through my die cutting machine. So let's turn the camera around and get it to focus properly. That's it. So it will be quite stiff because I've got 2 layers of card, and the dies are quite thick dies. But I'm just using my normal die cutting sandwich. So there's my piece of scrap, and there's my cut and inked leaves. Okay, just got a corner that needs to tease out. There we are. And there's a couple of bits that cut out in the middle there. So that's ready to go on my card. And I could use it in conjunction with that. Okay. So that's how you ink them. Okay, I'm just going to get my dye off of there and give it a clean. So obviously I've just used pigment based ink, so I usually find the best thing to clean with it is just to give them a wipe over with some kitchen paper. If you've really got lots of ink stuck, you know, they're a piece of metal, you can rinse them under the tap or squirt them with some water or use a baby wipe even. Okay, so that's using them with ink. If I want to do the coloured pencil method, let me do that next. So I've got my cutting plate, I've got a piece of watercolour card, so that goes on there, my scrap card, I might need another piece of scrap card, a piece will do. Okay, and I use the scrap card because I found with the pencils you really do want a nice deep emboss. Okay, so that is going through there. And you could do this on some darker card and use gilding polishes and things on it. You know, that would work as well. Just tease that out. So there we are. It's got a really deep emboss on it. There we are. Okay, so I've used coloured pencils because you have a lot of control with them. You don't easily put down a lot of colour where you don't want it. But you could just as easily use pens if you've got a steady hand. So let me move that out of the way. So while I'm putting some colour on this to show you how that works, I'm going to put my dye onto my Go Press to be warming up. Let me bring that over. I've got my Go Press here and I've got my conversion plate, which is the thick metal plate, already sitting on it. I'm just going to put my dye in the middle, close the lid and leave that to warm up. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my coloured pencils. So, as I say, I've got some fairly cheap coloured pencils. And all I've done is I've taken a darker colour and gone in between the raised areas. And obviously to get in all those little bits your pencil needs to be reasonably sharp. But you don't want to press too hard because you don't want to leave scratch marks. Doesn't matter if you go over the raised areas a bit because the colours will blend later when I put water on. Okay, so let me just pause the camera there while I do some more of that colouring. In fact, let me just give you a close-up shot of that before I do. That's better. So I'm just going in all the sunken areas with my darker colour to begin with. I'm using a dark pink on my flowers. I've got some dark green to go on the leaves. Like that. Really not being too careful at all. As I say, these aren't particularly good quality pencils. Okay, so bear with me for a minute while I just finish this off. Okay, So I have put down the dark colours that I want, and now I'm going to put down some lighter colour. So for that I found the best thing to do was to use the edge of the pencil, because it's on the raised areas, and that just really quickly brings that colour into all those areas. Okay, and then the light green along the leaves. Okay, so this is what it looks like before I put the water on. Okay, and I always think this is quite magical with watercolour pencils when you add the water and the colours flow and blend together. So let's get these pencils out of the way, make sure I've got this in a place you can see it. Right, there, no, there. Okay, so focus on that. Try again. That's better. Okay, so now just to make sure I don't move this out of shot, I'm going to put a bit of tape on. Obviously it doesn't matter if it's just me, but I don't want that to move and you not to be able to see it. In fact, I'm going to tape it the other end. Okay, so I've got here a water brush. It's got water in the barrel. You see? Just plain water. It's got quite a good flow, this one. So I usually scribble a bit on my mat to make sure I've got water coming out. And then you just need to concentrate on one area at a time, letting the water get into those pigments and starting to move them around and blend them together. Now, if you're not using watercolour card, you'll find that your scratch lines don't tend to blend out so well. The first one I didn't use watercolour cards. I was just thought, oh, it's like just embossed, and I thought, oh, coloured pencils. And then I thought coloured pencils would be better with watercolour card. So there we are. Now, if you decide you need more colour, it's best to dry it off and then add more colour, rather than putting your pencils onto the wet card. There may be differing opinions on that. If you know better, if you're used to using your watercolour pencils and you do into wet areas, that's fine. I'm not telling you not to. But generally I think the idea is that you use them on dry card, possibly depending on the make of the pencils. I'm just doing all my pink bits first. There we are, and then I'm going to make sure my brush is clean. I'm using some kitchen paper. Right, put that down there. Using some kitchen paper, and then I'm going to do all the green bits. You get more water coming through. Need to just take my tape off. So I'm not an expert with watercolour pencils, and I say mine aren't very good ones. But if there a colouring medium you like to use, you could do this, and you can combine this with using some inks as well. So just give it a lot of some extra excess water, and zoom the camera back out. There we are. Okay, so that I've got an embellishment for my card there. Okay, so the other method, and how I like to use them, is foiled, because I like hot foiling. And there was a time where you had to choose between having something that was hot foiled or something that was die cut. You couldn't do both. But with cut and embossed dies, cut and foil dies, you can. So this will now be nice and warm. Okay, so I need my foil, and I'm using this foil, which is Peach Foil Matte Finish. And I have intentionally left it on the roll. I'm just going to grab another piece of scrap card. Because it's one of those foils that A, it curls a lot, and B, it can be difficult to remember which side is which, because it has a shiny side on the outside, and the bit that actually sticks to your card is matte. Well, I'll put my scissors. Okay, so I just need a length of this. Don't need to worry about cutting it to size, because it's going to get cut out anyway. So I'm going to place my foil on there, and it's going with the shiny side down. Okay, and then I'm going to put my cardstock on top. Now I'm not sure if I need an extra shim with this or not. So I'm going to put one on again, and then I might have to redo it if I've got lots of overfoiling, but we'll see. Okay, so that needs to go back on the base unit to make sure that everything has stayed nice and hot, because it was off for a minute or two there. Put my pencils out the way because I need my die cutting machine. Okay, and let's bring the card back. So I'm not going to stick this in place just yet, because when let's get it the right way round, when I actually do arrange things on it, I want to I'm going to have some bits that tuck under the sentiment and some that go over the top. So the leaves need to go down first, but let's have a look at how perhaps these coloured ones rather than forward ones would look. So that could go there, and then, so you see, that would look, you know, really nice as well. So you don't need to be foiling all the time. Sorry, let me pick that up again. So that would look something like that. Let me tip the camera up a bit further. There we are. Right. There's obviously, I'm not sticking these in place because I'm going to stick down my foiled ones in a minute, but that's an alternative. So these dies are still great to have, even if you're not a foiler. Because you get all that lovely detail without the fiddly bits to stick down. Okay, so my Go Present foil is nice and hot now, so I'm going to roll that through my die cutting machine. Get that in focus. There we are. piece of scrap card, my foiled card. Okay, so let's peel the foil off. And there's overfoiling around the edges, but it doesn't matter because the bit I want, I'm cutting out of the middle. There we are, let's give it a wiggle. Okay, so that's it foiled. I need to peel the foil off yet. I'm just going to kind of roll it in my fingers just to help the foil release. And then I find an edge. And there, and that's foiled really nicely. There's a couple of bits of overfoiling just on. Can I get that to focus? No, let me zoom the camera. Oh, that is zoomed. You can see just on the ends there's some bits of overfoiling, but they'll be easy to rub away with the sanderizer or the creative detailer tool. So the creative detailer tool, it's a rubber that spins, and you press the buttons. The button on the side there, you press that, and the end goes round. And that makes it really easy to remove overfoiling. You literally just touch it gently wherever you want to remove your foil. I'll show you that same corner again. You don't need to watch me do all of it. So it's that piece there. See in the camera. There we are. So you can see that's taken the overfoiling off of that tip there that I've done. Didn't actually do all of that one. Okay, so we've got the bits to make up the card. So let me bring the card back in. And let's figure out where these bits go. I want my sentiment in the middle. And then I'm going to use one of these that I made earlier. If I use that one, that one come out better. Can't tell the difference. Okay, so that is going to go kind of across the corner, but then I want to arrange my leaves. Now I've foiled some leaves on some white pearlescent card, and it's a smooth pearlescent card. Sorry, I thought I'd told that to focus and it hadn't. So I've got my sentiment in the middle. And can I? That's better. Okay, and I've got some leaves that are foiled on some white pearlescent card. And I found in my stash a kind of greeny grey slate colour that matches very well with the leaves on this. So I've done some on that, but obviously you could just do them in white, or if you wanted to, you could foil them in green, or you could use drink ones. Okay, so lots of choices. So I have cut away part of one of these. So this was a whole leaf, and I've just cut some bits of it so I can tuck it so that I've got bits coming over the top of my sentiment and overlapping each other. I kind of like this, just to give it some more dimension. Well, the other thing I've done is I've actually shaped some of the leaves. So I'm just grabbing my piece of foam here. So I've just used a ball tool, a large ball tool, gone round the outsides. And points at the ends. So just like shaping flowers or leaves that you do in any other way. And then down the middle of the leaves with the narrow end, it just gives them a little bit of shape and movement. Okay, so I can slot that one under there, and then I'm going to go for the silver one next up here, and then that one coming out towards my butterfly. So that's how I'm going to do it. So now I just need to stick it all down. Okay, so let me do that and then I'll show you the finished thing. Okay, so I've got part way with this. So I stuck the leaves that are going right underneath the sentiment down first, and then I've stuck the sentiment in place, and now I'm putting the pieces that are going to overlap the sentiment into place. And you can see how I've cut this one so it'll actually fit in that shape there, rather than the rest of it coming out and covering up my sentiment. Okay, so the next piece to go on is the piece I cut off from that, and that's going to overlap up there. I always plan these things out, and then when I actually put them together they end up slightly different. So let's put that up there, and I'm using a mixed media gel medium to stick these things down, because well, I haven't got smooth surfaces to stick to. I find it's really good for actually sticking, because you just kind of put it in place, and when it dries it retains its shape. There we are. Just make sure that's going to cover up the joins. There we are. Yep, that will do nicely. Actually, I'm going to move that down just a little bit, just down there. Just curl that down a little bit. That's it. Now, obviously it doesn't dry too quickly, so you do get the chance to move things. And so I've just given this bit of shape with my fingers. I'm thinking I'm going to put some foam pad on one edge, just to help it not keel over. So just on this top edge. That's better, that'll keep it off the surface of the card. Then I'm just going to, don't want it to stick yet, I'm going to put some of that on there because it's a really good glue. And I just need to use blobs of this, and don't squidge it down. Very technical term, that, squidge. But you know what I mean, I don't want the glue to come out the sides. I want it to just hold it in place once it's dry. I'm just going to press those ends down for a moment so my glue grabs. Clean up. Add a piece of tissue paper, yeah. Okay, that's ready to grab now. There. Let's put the camera up a little bit. So there's the finished card. The sentiments from the Butterfly Garden collection that was out earlier in the year. Obviously, whatever sentiment you've got can go there. And again, it could be stamped, it could be foiled. Yeah, so there's lots of options. And as I say, the cut, foil and embossed dies, you end up with something that looks really intricate, but it's actually really quick and easy to stick down. Okay, thanks for watching.